everybody. In this video, I'm going to be showing you this A6 Appunto Trifold by Gillio, and I'm going to show you how I got rings inside of it, and I got it to hold A6 sized inserts. Here's the side view. There's just one lone piece of A6 sized paper in there, and you can see that it fits really well in this design. And I haven't set it up yet because this is more of a proof of concept. This is something that came up really quickly, and I have yet to kind of flesh out exactly what I want to put in there here, but I do have a good idea. The thing in this video is not to show you what I'm going to put inside it, but just to show you that it can be done and how it can be done and why I'm doing it and so on. I've taken out the rings. Now I'm going to go into a couple of caveats before we go any further. If you want to try this for yourself, this is something that you'll need to know. The first caveat is that I believe it will only work with the A6 Appunto Trifold and not the regular A6 Appunto. The second caveat is you will not be able to use the pen loop inside once it's done. And the third caveat, it may or may not depend on your situation, but for me, the ring spacing on the binder is different from the A6 ring spacing. Now I'll explain that later as I go through my setup. So let's start first of all with some background. This is the A6 Appunto Trifold, and it's by the company called Gillio, based in Belgium. And there's lots of videos and people using this Appunto, so I won't go into the review of the cover itself, but basically this is a kind of modification or a new design of the Appunto line, where they have this extra flap here, which is why it's called a trifold, whereas the regular A6 Appuntos and other Appuntos only have this part of the cover here, so it's cut off like this, and the closure is a little bit different. So I picked this up in the summer of 2019, and I really liked it because when you look at it and it's closed, it kind of looks like a clutch. So it's really easy to hold in the hand, and it just looked more appealing to me than the regular A6 Appunto. And the reason why I got the A6 Appunto Trifold was to hold this notebook. It's by Nanami paper, and it's their cafe note. I made my own cover and then put the notebook inside it. I will be moving out of the A6 size though for 2020. Instead of using the A6, I will be using the B6. And that's obviously quite a lot larger. And therefore, I don't really have any more use for this A6 Appunto Trifold. This Appunto Trifold is my only A6 leather cover, and that's because Gillios tend to be more on the higher end of pricing, so I told myself if I was going to get a Gillio A6, it's going to have to be my only one, and I've kept to that. This is my only A6 leather cover. So since I'm moving to the B6 in 2020, I didn't want to leave this behind. I didn't want to sell it, and I couldn't figure out what to do with it. So luckily, on Boxing Day, it was just a couple of days ago, I happened to be in a Japanese dollar store. In the Japanese dollar store, everything is $2, and I found a ring binder here. It's a very plain, thick cardboard ring binder, and quite small. And here's the packaging, which is in Japanese and I can't read it, but it says that it's a P7 ring binder of some kind, and 6 probably means that it's got 6 rings, and it's by the brand Komoda. I'm not sure. When I saw this in the store, I thought that this looked a lot like the size of a regular A6 notebook. And I didn't have the Appunto with me. I didn't have my notebook with me, but there were lots of A6 size notebooks in the store. And when I compared it, it looked quite close. So here's my Nanami Cafe note. And let's just compare the height first. This one is taller, and this one is shorter, but it was pretty close. So that's when I had the idea of putting the rings, this little ring binder here, inside the Appunto and using it as the Appunto instead of just a leather cover as a ring binder. This isn't my original idea. I've seen a lot of videos and pictures online. I believe it's on Facebook because I can't find anything on YouTube right now. But somewhere online, there are all these videos or pictures of people who put personal sized rings inside their B6 Appuntos. But up until this point, I hadn't seen anybody put A6 rings inside a A6 Appunto. And so I bought this, obviously, and I brought it home. Now next I'm going to show you how I put this inside the Appunto. Just did it by sliding in the front into this pocket and the back into this pocket. But I did have to trim this a little bit. And this is made out of cardboard. So it's thick and it's like a kind of hard cover, but it's very easy to cut. I just used a box cutter and I just sliced it. And here you'll see this is the little strips of cardboard that came out of the side. And I just trimmed it little by little because I didn't know how much to cut off. First, both of this is 1 centimeter off the end of this, and this is 1 centimeter off the end of this side. So next I'm going to show you how I put it inside the Appunto. There you go. That was a bit awkward just because I'm used to putting my head right up against the leather, and then if I did that you wouldn't be able to see what I was doing, so that just took a little bit more awkward. But it is very helpful if you wanted to do it, is to bend the leather cover back like this, and the binder as well, and it doesn't affect the leather in any way. So here it is. It does move around a little bit, but because it's quite secure, these pockets are quite deep, it doesn't move around too much, so you don't have to keep on adjusting the size. But there's a little bit of length here that you could push up or push down if you want to adjust the size. And here it is. I'm now going to take an A6 piece of paper. This is A6 size, and I just cut out a random piece of paper to the A6 size and I punched it. There you go. So once you put it inside the Appunto, it looks like it's going to fit perfectly. But as you'll see when I close it, the way that the rings work, this is going to start pushing out towards the side. I'm going to close it. And here you see the A6 ring, the A6 paper stick out, and it kind of hits against the pen loop. But when you close it, it closes perfectly fine. And here again, the paper here does not touch the edge of the leather. And when you look at the spine of this, it does look a little bit flattened because of the cardboard there. And lastly, when you look deeper inside, you'll see that the spine of the ring binder is straight, it's flat, but the spine of this Appunto is curved. So there's a little bit of a gap here in between the spine of the ring binder and the spine of the leather. And that's fine because of the bookmarks. So the bookmarks aren't affected by this. So I think that this would only work in the A6 Appunto Trifold design. And that's because when you close it, like I said before, this is going to start sticking out. I don't have an A6 regular Appunto, so I can't show you the difference. But when I looked it up on the Gillio website, it says that the regular Appunto is 11.5 centimeters wide, and the Appunto Trifold, this one here, is 13.5 centimeters wide. So that's a difference of 2 centimeters. This is 2 centimeters wider. And let me close this again and show you this view. Take out my ruler. And you see this flap here, that where this flap ends. If I kind of line it up to the edge of the trifold, this extra curve here, it's about 2 centimeters from this point to this point. So I think that if the regular Appunto doesn't have this flap, then the side of the regular Appunto would just be this width, and then this setup wouldn't work because this would stick out. Whereas if you have the trifold, then even though that this sticks out, it covers the paper so that you can still carry it as a A6 ring binder. And it's not like this will kind of flatten when you use it. It's not going to smush the paper because it's got a curve to it, and I believe it's got some stiffener to it, so it keeps its structure and it's not going to squash the pages. Now, another thing I wanted to mention was the rings. If you use an A6 ring binder like the Gillio's A6 Campagna or the Gillio's Pocket Campagna, you will have probably noticed this already. Whereas the rings are actually not an A6 sized rings. Remember that this side, it was a B7 ring binder. This is not an A6 sized ring binder. It's actually a pocket sized ring binder, or at least the sizing of the ring spacing is the same as that of a pocket ring binder. That's why I wrote here pocket ring spacing. So luckily I have a hole puncher. This is some Japanese brand one, but there's the model number, and this hole punches both pocket rings and A6 rings, so I'll show you the difference. That's something you'll need to watch out for. If all of the rings are evenly spaced together like this, it's most likely a pocket ring size, and that means when I punch it to the pocket ring spacing, I will not be able to put it inside an A6 Campagna or another A6 ring binder because the hole spacing would be different. I'm going to take out another piece of paper, which I also cut to the A6 size, so it's the same size as this, but it's hole punched using the A6 ring spacing here. So if I line it up, if I were to line it up, it's not going to work. I could put it in the top three rings here, and then even the bottom two here, but then there's an extra ring. There's an extra ring here which needs a hole. If you wanted to, I guess you could punch a hole here, somewhere like that, and then you would be able to put an A6 ring size paper inside a pocket ring spacing. For me, I don't think it matters that this is a pocket sized ring binder and this is an A6 insert, because I don't have any other A6 ring binders. I don't have an A6 Campagna. I don't see myself ever buying an A6 ring Campagna, so I don't need to have the default ring spacing here. And so this will work for me. So if you were to look online and you were to find your own ring binder like this, and it happened to have the A6 ring binding spacing, then that would probably work better for you if you had other A6 ring binders, because then they'd be more compatible with each other. But for me, since this will be my only A6 binder, then it doesn't matter so much. And you would have to check that the A6 ring mechanism here would be tall enough so that it could fit inside the A6 Appunto. I'm really not sure if that will work or not. So the last thing I'd like to show you is how this would look if I set it up as an actual pocket ring binder inside an A6 Appunto. This is a pocket size. And by the way, all of these measurements I had looked up from the Filofaxy website, because it's just a very useful website. It has a lot of references. That's how I was able to find out that this is the correct A6 ring spacing and this is the pocket ring spacing, because they have all the numbers there. So I found out on the Filofaxy website this is the pocket size piece of paper, and then I hole punched it because this hole punch works with pocket as well. And then that's how it looks. So it looks very, very small compared to the size of the A6. And it definitely works, but then you're losing out on a lot of space. You could make it a lot bigger if you really wanted to. And lastly, I also cut out a piece of paper in the B7 size because it says that this is a B7 binder. And it turns out the B7 size is really not that much bigger than the pocket size. But again, even when you look at the B7 size compared to the size of the A6, you can definitely go bigger, and you can definitely go taller and wider, and therefore you have much more writing room. So there you have it. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. I hope that this will help you if you wanted to put your rings inside a A6 Appunto Trifold. If you do try to do this, let me know. I'd love to see how yours is set up, and I'd love to see how an actual A6 size ring spacing would, if it would fit even inside an A6 Appunto. As for what I'm going to do with this, I do have an idea of what I'm going to do with it. It's either, for me, it's either putting that idea inside a personal ring size binder or this A6 ring size binder. And so I have to decide to make sure whether I really want to commit to the A6 size, first of all, over the personal size. And I think actually, now that I'm gone through this video, that I'm probably just going to move into the A6, because one of the main reasons why I did this experiment is because I wanted to keep on using this beautiful A6 Appunto. I hope you had a happy holidays, and I also hope that you have a happy new year and a happy 2020.